I am an everyday athlete.
I am an everyday athlete.
I am an everyday athlete.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jared Bass with Mark McCain, and you are listening to Everyday Athlete, a podcast devoted to bringing you the amazing stories behind the lives of day-to-day CrossFit athletes like yourself. Today, we have the prestigious Rob Honaker. Welcome, Rob.
Oh, good morning.
Honaker. Are we saying that right?
That's right.
Okay.
Honaker.
Honaker. I got honker a lot in
Oh.
high school.
Oh,
That
wow.
was yeah. It don't matter.
Yeah.
Call
Been-
me.
I've
Been called a lot worse, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I get like really dumb ones, like Jarrett, the carrot. That was like
Oh, wow.
it's like the stupid, like if your name rhymes with anything in grade school, like people
Oh,
are-
yeah.
they're gonna gravitate towards that.
Not a lot of effort went into that one. though.
No, it's literally
Yeah.
carrot and ferret. I
Yeah.
think are the only two words that are gonna rhyme.
Yeah.
Everything else is pretty much just you're gonna push it.
Uh-huh.
So I got Bastion a lot. I don't know where the I falls into my name, but Bastion is one I get quite a bit.
Sounds like a dog's name, Bastion.
Yeah, yeah, it's a hardo. All right. So Rob, are you from North Kentucky area?
Yeah. I was born over in Campbell County, Fort Thomas area.
Yeah. And you moved to Florence? I feel like
Yeah.
people who like are from Fort Thomas, like people flock to Fort Thomas. No one ever.
Oh no, we lived over. We didn't live in Fort Thomas.
Oh, okay.
We are just we lived in Wilder, Kentucky, which is kind of close to Fort Thomas. So
I lived in Wilder for a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked that you were close to everything.
Yeah, it was right there next to Highway 471,
Yeah.
275. So
Yeah.
yeah, we lived there, and then went to school at Campbell County High School, and then we moved to Georgia my sophomore and junior year in high school. We spent 2 years down there, which I loved. There's like no winters in Georgia, which is awesome. So
But I feel like the summers are pretty awful. Are they hot?
they're hot and humid.
Yeah.
It's like,
The South.
yeah, if
Yeah.
you don't have AC, I don't see how people do it down
Yeah.
there, you know.
Yeah, we just brought up Andy a minute ago. He's down in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And he said there's just no escaping the heat.
Oh, it's when you walk out the front door, it just slaps you in the face.
Yeah.
You know? Of course, the people like born and raised down there, they're used to it. But I went down there and I'm just like, oh my god, I can't stop sweating. What is this? You know?
Yeah, like 110%. I don't know if it's possibly more than 100% humidity, but it feels like
It definitely feels like it. Yeah. But we spent 2 years down there, and then had some family down there, and then we moved back up here senior year in high school. I don't know. My parents were indecisive, I guess.
Yeah.
So they
Is
decided
it a
to
job thing?
No. We had family down in Georgia, aunts and uncles all my life, and I guess my stepdad and mom liked it. So freshman year of high school, I came home from school, like last day of school, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, we have an absolute auction on our house in like 3 weeks." And absolute auction just means like,
You're not bringing anything back?
yeah. It's just
Yeah.
it can sell for $1 or it can sell for $100.
Oh, my
And
gosh.
that day it's sold. And my stepdad, I guess, I don't know, he was going through like a midlife crisis or something, but we sold everything, like the house, all the belongings in the house, like plates, bowls, basketball hoop.
Oh my gosh.
Like literally we took clothes and some personal items and we're like, all right.
So
They're like, Rob, we're selling your baseball cards, buddy.
Yeah, I was
Sorry.
like, that's my football.
I think your dad might be wanted for murder. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Had to
lay
get
I
out
went
of
to
it.
lay
Yeah.
low for about 2 years in Georgia.
We're gonna come on back. So,
No,
yeah.
that's interesting. I've never heard of anything like that, to be honest with you. My family moved a little bit, but it was all within like a 15-minute radius growing up. So
Yeah.
that's a big move,
Especially if
especially
you're
going through high school.
Just up and leaving too, not necessarily for a job. And people do it from time to time, but I don't think it's as common as most people think.
Yeah, it was definitely a shock to me. I mean, I'm one of three, and I have two older brothers, and they were just like, okay. And one was going to school at Thomas More, and then one was just finishing high school, and everyone's like, okay, I guess we're
Yeah.
going to Georgia.
Just kind of roll with the punches.
Yeah.
And was it kind of difficult as far as reestablishing like connections with friends and stuff like that whenever you get down there?
It was. I mean, it was so quick and abrupt that once we got down there, we didn't even have a house or anything. So we kind of stayed with my aunt, and we just kind of like, I slept on the couch for a couple of weeks. And then even when school started, we didn't even have a house. So I was just like sleeping on the couch. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll go to school, and here we go. But back in the day, I would say not back in the day, until I was like 18, I was so shy, like in my little shell, that like I couldn't even order food in a restaurant until I was like almost 18 years old. I don't know what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
And then going from that, and then your sophomore year in high school, going through puberty and pimples, and you're starting a whole new school. I'm just kind of like just sitting there like,
I'm just gonna ride this wave and
Yeah.
hopefully I survive.
Yeah,
I mean, high school's tough enough as it is. When you have to kind of get up and do it all over again, that's a whole new world.
yeah, it was definitely interesting, to say the least. But.
So when you guys moved back, did you move back to the same area?
Yeah, we came back. They put up, I guess they put our house in Georgia up for rent, and they rented it out. We came back up, and we stayed in the same general area of Campbell County, and I went back to high school at Campbell County my senior year. And when I came back, it was kind of like, when I left freshman year, I was probably only like 5'8", 5'10", like 110 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah.
And I come back senior year, and then I'm 6'2", you know, a little bit bigger, and people are like, Rob, is that you?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's me.
That's why the SEC is so good at football.
Yeah.
Come move to Georgia
yeah,
for 2 years.
something happened.
We're
Yeah.
gonna- man.
Combination of humidity and just probably drinking water.
Something
In there. I mean, I remember when you first started, Rob, and I actually was going through photos last night. We're gonna get some printed out to put around the gym, and there's one of you doing one of the intros, and I'm like, God, that was big. Like, it's just you got big, broad shoulders, tall. I mean, and you move very well too. I mean, that was always one thing I noticed right away. Was like, wow, like Rob, like, squat very well. Did you have a history in athletics? That kind of like.
Well, I played sports all growing up, football, and then I did a little bit of swimming in high school, which was different. But I've been all around kind of athletic. But
do
never
you
really,
shave the whole body?
during swimming?
Yeah.
I did not. No, I mean people did. Yeah. I mean, there's
Tell
no,
us.
Yeah, there's no. I manscape, yes. But
There you go.
I did not whip out the whole entire.
We're gonna have to put a
razor.
disclaimer on this episode.
Yeah. So.
Well, how big are you now, Rob? If you don't mind sharing.
I am 6'2" of twisted steel and sex appeal. That's what I like to say.
Nice.
Now, well, I mean, I try not to go by a scale because I think scales just, I don't know.
Yeah, you can just generalize. You know,
Yeah.
just give them a little more context. You went from a freshman in high school to you said you were how big?
I graduated high school, same height, but I graduated at like 185 pounds. So I was pretty much a beanpole.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then once I got out of high school, I kind of found junk food and alcohol. And then just started a little bit like just lifting. And then from there, it shot up. Right out of high school, I got about 225. And then as I got older, the weight started kind of going up. So right around 250 is where I kind of started when I came here.
Yeah.
So
And was that kind of a conscious, like, I need to do something?
most definitely.
Yeah.
When I got into the fire service, riding in the back of the ambulance, you see a lot of sick people. And you see a lot of sick people that are my age, and then you pick up some older people, 90s, and they're still sharp and mentally there, and they're actually in decent shape. And it's like, okay, I got to be like that,
Yeah.
So something's not going right here.
How old are you?
31. I'll be 32 next Wednesday, actually. So
All right.
Okay.
big
Ah.
old birthday month.
There
Yeah,
you
there we
go.
go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you went from a place of basically you added 100 pounds in the span of high school, like four years or so. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. It shot up quick. Yeah.
And then from high school to late 20s, is that how long it took to get to to 250 or?
Yeah, and it really it kind of maintained itself around 230s, 240s, then it would fluctuate, and then I would say in the last couple of years, it kind of shot to 250s. It kind of got lazy and liked my sweets, and then it was just like, this ain't working anymore, you know.
Yeah.
So then you're like, I need to do something.
Oh, most definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably that's one of the more common ones we see where it's just like something needs to happen.
Correct.
And I've tried it on my, and again, personal experience too. It's like I'll do it on my own. All right, what's the next step?
Correct.
You know, did you try and work out on your own prior before coming here? Or was it you kind of doing some lifting and things like that?
Yeah, it was just the normal, just going to the gym and you're there, you know, today I'm going to do chest, and then someone comes over and talks to you for 45 minutes,
Right.
and you're like,
Right.
you know, leave me alone, I'm trying to get stuff done. But it was never it was something intense or something that I'm like, all right, you know, setting goals and reaching them. I just kind of showed up and did my thing and then went home, so it was
Yeah.
never huge.
What was kind of how did you find CrossFit then to kind of get you on that path?
Through fire school, we have to have a like a physical fitness class that we have, and it was highly motivated through CrossFit.
Oh, cool.
So it was kind of like an intro to it. I mean, it was during the summer, and it's usually like 15, 20 people, but summer classes are pretty light, and it ended up just being me and one other guy. And the teacher is huge into CrossFit, but he was also huge into the firefighter competition aspect.
Okay.
So they have like firefighter games or whatnot.
Yeah, those are intense.
So every day we showed up to class, he's like, all right, there's only 2 of you. We're going to the training tower, and we're just going to work on my stuff. So we kind of got a little bit of taste of it, but then we just kind of went and did his thing.
Yeah.
And then I started dating my girlfriend, and she was doing CrossFit at the time. And of course, the only thing I knew about it was what was on TV and whatnot. And of course, I made fun of her and all that good stuff.
That's normal.
It's pretty normal.
Just yeah. And then I went to a couple Saturday classes with her. Kind of enjoyed it. And then once I got hired on at Florence, a couple of the guys on my shift was actually doing CrossFit at the gym, or at the gym at the firehouse. So I got in there and started working out with him, and it was something new and challenging, and kind of destroyed me, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And you wake up and you're like, well, I've never felt like that before. This is not good. So, and then that's where I kind of like,
It is good.
Yeah. That's where I kind of ventured out and said, well, let's check this out and see what happens.
Yeah.
So.
How'd you find us? Usually it's like a Google search.
That's exactly what it was. The guy that at the firehouse kept wanting me to come to his gym, and I was it was kind of out of the way. It's a little bit of a drive.
Yeah.
And for me mentally, if I have to wake up and go 30, 40 minutes out of my way, I don't think personally I would do that. Like I would come up with an excuse every single day.
If it's the only one, if it's the only one available, okay, we'll make it happen. But way back when Mark and I first started, that was kind of the case.
Yeah.
There was 3 options.
Oh wow.
I was driving from Clifton to Florence.
Burlington. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I was driving from over the Rhine to Burlington. And
it was tough. I mean, there was, like you said, there's excuses, there's so on and so forth. I feel like that's one of the missions, almost, if you will, we're going to try to tackle here, is like just eliminating excuses for fitness, because it's so common. Like we're doing a workout today, and it's a mystery. We didn't put it online because.
Well, you can probably say it now because this won't air till.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, we're doing running today.
Yep.
So sorry, Robert.
Now, yep. Now I know.
Now you know.
You don't have to stay for the
You're
9:30 class.
taking the 9:30. But it's just unfortunate because, people cherry pick all the time, and it's like, well, why didn't you come yesterday? Well, there was running, or there was a barbell. And it's just like, that's life.
Yes.
You don't know what it's going to throw at you sometimes. And if I could look ahead to my schedule next week and I can see like, well, Wednesday I'm going to get in an argument with my wife, or, Wednesday I'm going to have a flat tire. Well, I'm just going to skip Wednesday. Guess what?
Yeah.
You don't get to do that. So I think it's really cool kind of context from you is like, hey, you were like, I get to see people, you are a firefighter and an EMT paramedic, and you get to see, you're on the front lines, of it. And so first of all, thank you for your service. to, you know, at this moment, the city of Florence,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Helping
You're
people
welcome.
out
Thank you.
all over town. You and you guys there at the House and Girls. But you were like, hey, I'm seeing 90-year-old people that are pretty healthy, like mentally sharp. Maybe they had a issue, obviously, that landed them in the ambulance. But then you're also like, hey, I'm seeing 20-somethings and early 30s. So maybe speak about that. And what was that was the moment for you when you were like, hey, you know, you see this person in the back of the ambulance and you're like, wow, that could be me if I don't start cleaning this up a little bit.
That was one of the reasons, you know, I wanted to get into the fitness aspect. But you would pick up people around my age. You know, I'm 31, and you'd pick them up, and you would just kind of look at them and be like, wow, you just don't look good. You can tell that they've been neglecting their bodies for quite some time.
They might look 40, you know, and you're like, oh, crap.
Even, yeah.
You're 22.
Yeah. And then you pick up these 70, 80 years old, and you look at them and you're like, man, are you about 45, 50? They're like, no, I'm 88 years old. I'm like,
Whoa.
oh, my goodness. So,
Yeah.
And once I got into my career as a firefighter, you know, my main goal is to enjoy retirement. So I'm always trying to look long term, you know. You know, never just look, all right, next year I'm going to do this. You know, I just started full time it'll be 2 years in October. So I have 23 more years until I'm eligible to retire. So that's when I'm eligible. So it'll be 55, 60 when I retire. So when I do retire, I want to be healthy and still mentally capable to actually enjoy it.
Right.
So that was one aspect that I you know, I want to enjoy retirement. I want to, you know, live a full life. And when you look back and you're picking up guys that are 40 years old and you're like, there's no possible way. And firefighting is a demanding job, not only physically but mentally.
Sure.
So-
You're seeing some stuff.
Yeah. So when you get into CrossFit, that, you know, that helps both physically and mentally. And I think that's the way to do it.
Well, that's one that we picked up on quite a bit, and again, I think it started actually bringing it up. Actually, started when we were talking to people, and you start to see this commonality between so many people, where just the ability to take problems and issues head on, you know, and daunting tasks don't seem so daunting when you've been through something that is, quote, worse. You know, they talk. Your central nervous system, the way the brain works is, you know, a lot of times whenever we encounter something for the first time, the reason it's so bad is because we've never encountered it before.
Correct.
You know, once you do that, you know, multiple times, it becomes a little mundane. They talk about nurses and firefighters, you know, police officers, where, you know, they see a lot of stuff that normal public doesn't see, and they're like, well, how doesn't that affect you? I'm like, well, it did at one point,
Correct.
you know,
Yeah.
and I think eventually it starts to become every day. But CrossFit, in a good sense, prepares you for that. You know, I think you see some workouts and you're like, there's no way I can do that. You know, and it sounds dumb to equate that to just a workout, but it's a physically demanding and emotionally and mentally demanding thing coming at you. And if you can tackle it in the right way, it's going to make you mentally stronger.
Most definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, when I think to bring back when you're talking about playing the long game, that's huge for us.
Well, I like one of the things you said, living a full life. I mean, when you look at it, you know, I think you mentioned retirement from, you know, that 55, 60. When I hear that, I'm like, man, you still got a whole nother life, you know, to live. I mean, generally speaking, especially if you're healthy, right? You know, keeping a healthy mind is just as important as keeping a healthy body. That kind of go hand in hand. But I feel like there's just so many people out there, again, getting back to like skipping around with working out or diet and stuff like that. And obviously being at the firehouse, you know when there's an emergency. There's an alarm that goes off and boom, you guys are going, you know, you're defaulting to that system of, all right, this is what I got to grab, this is where we got to go, so on and so forth. It's not always as intuitive with the body. There's not always that fire alarm going off like, you really need to lower your cholesterol. Until it's too late. And then that alarm might be, you know, the last one.
Yeah.
So it's that full life, man. I mean, that's one of the big things I've been trying to, you know, what does that mean, kind of thing. And lately for me, goals always change. Goals has been brought up on this podcast several times, but just that's a great goal. Like, I just want to live life to the fullest, and that can take on so many different definitions, but I don't think anyone's going to say, I want to live life to the fullest. I want to watch every season on Netflix, Monday through Friday, 9 days, you know, 9 hours a day, and I want to eat all the ice cream. You know, like there's moments for that. And I'm not saying like if you watch Netflix or eat ice cream, you're gonna die young. It's just
When
so
that
many.
becomes your everyday.
Yeah, just so many people talk like I want to live this full quality of life, but guess what? You don't want to do the challenging things. You want to fall into your routine, you know, that you're comfortable in. And just like Jared said, you know, whenever we're forcing you to do things that you don't want to do at CrossFit, like, and you actually show up even when the workout's a surprise, that's kind of, you know, going to your personality and to the sense where, hey, I'm not saying just because you don't come in and try a workout that's a surprise doesn't mean you don't like to travel and try new things, but it's going to build that, you know, that skill set even more to take on the challenges of life that you don't know that might just be around the bend.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I just read this the other day when they're talking about those, you know, the small everyday habits. You know, it was in that Chasing Excellence book, Mark, the margin of improvement. You know, when it's 1%, 1% doesn't seem like a whole lot, and that could be that 1% of I want to make sure I get to the 6:30 a.m. or 5:30 a.m. every class every day this month. You know, or every time I go to the gym, it's going to be that class. I'm going to not have that snack before bed every day this month. Well, that 1% seems like nothing right now, but if you do that month after month after month after month, 2-3 years down the road, that 1% is now 5%,
Correct.
10%, you know, and that's where you see the improvement, and you just see normal everyday habits become something much, much larger.
Yeah.
So I want to take a quick break. I want to come back and talk a little bit about how you got into firefighting, you know, the pluses and minuses of a job that not many people know a whole lot about. They see, you know, the sexy calendars and things like that. But talk about the kind of everyday grind and how that fits in your life. We'll be right back.
Gotcha.
And we're back. We're on the Everyday Athlete podcast with myself, Jared Bass, and Mark McCain, and we have Rob Honaker with us today. We kind of left talking about, wanted to start talking about firefighting and how you got into that. We talked a little bit prior, and you gave us a little bit of a backstory on how you got into firefighting, and just let everybody know, like, where did the passion for firefighting start?
It really started with family. My stepfather and father and uncle all three were volunteers at the Wilder Fire Department. But it's back in the 80s, where the firehouse, volunteer firehouse, really any firehouse, I guess, back in the 80s were kind of the men's club to get away from the ladies. You know.
Especially, I guess, the volunteer part of it, where you're like, oh, I'm gonna go volunteer.
Yeah.
Makes everybody look good.
Drills on Monday.
Is that one right by on the AA by the UDF?
Just past UDF on the left, yeah. And we lived right next to the UDF, so we were
Really
walking distance.
Nice.
There's, like, if you look at the UDF and to the right, there used to be 3 houses. Now it's just 2 single houses and like an office building. We lived in the middle house, all growing up.
You know, like Sarah Keene, like they live, I think, in that house or the one next to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'll have to ask her when she comes in. I'm pretty positive they live in that house.
Yeah, the one that's right next to the one, that was Mrs. DeVore's house, and we used to cut her grass and all that good stuff. She was a sweet old lady. And the one where the office building used to be was the Janet's, and every winter, every snowfall, we would shovel the driveway, and she would give us the big box of chocolates and $20 bills. So yeah, so Wilder,
Worth it.
That's good.
Yeah, our brothers, we would fight to go, like, I'm shoveling it, you know, today. You would shovel it 5 days a week, and she would give you every day a box of
It's a dusting, just like
Yeah.
a half hour of just light. I got it.
Yeah, it's mine. So back to the firefighting aspect. Yeah, my 3 of my family members were into it. So I mean, we were down there quite often. My grandpa, he was into it. He was actually chief of Wilder. So, and then I have another uncle on my father's side who is a full-time firefighter in Omaha. And then my uncle on my mother's side, he was a firefighter in the Marine Corps as a crash crew. So it's kind of been around it, you know, with my family all my life. So I've always kind of wanted to do it, but getting into it, I kind of had some other obligations growing up and in my early 20s that I had to take care of with family and stuff like that, and deal with personal issues. But as soon as I got the chance, I really didn't know how to get into it. So one day I just went to Cincinnati State and like walked in and went to the front desk and was like, "Hey, I want to take your fire science program. What do I do?" And then there we are. So she signed me up, and then got into that, got my classes all done, my certificates, and then just fortunately, most people, everyone I talk to, they have a hard time getting into and getting jobs because it is such a, you have to be good at it. You have to know people and whatnot. But when I was in fire school, one of my instructors was a captain in Delhi Township. So as soon as fire school was open, it just slid right in. They were actually hiring. Went up, got an interview, and did my physical and all that stuff. Got hired on there, and then I finished EMT school, and then the next step was paramedic school. So I went through medic school, and I did all 3 of my semesters of ride time with the city of Florence. So I got a good rapport with the guys at Florence. And literally, as soon as I got done with school, I took my national registry and all my skills, and I got my paramedic card. And like that week, they put out a thing that they were hiring. So I was very fortunate to slide right in
That's good timing.
to that.
It is good timing, but at the same time, one of the first things you said was, said, I didn't know how to do this, so I just went down to Cincinnati State and started asking questions. Like, I guarantee you there was some fortunate timing there, but just having the wherewithal to say, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to go figure it out. Mm-hmm. So many people just say, well, I know how to do it, so it's not for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or do this for me.
Yeah.
Someone
so many
do this for
people,
me.
we see, especially, I think our generation is plagued with this like laziness, like stamp, like because no one does anything for themselves. And it's like, so to just go out and ask someone like, I don't know how to do this. Can you tell me how to do it? Instead of someone else do this for me is huge. And I think that, the rapport that you built is based on the fact that you probably are just you are very nice. We know that. Yeah. It's like you are this.
That's on record right now.
It is. Well, you're also a member of the month.
Replay that.
Yeah.
Also a member of the month, and there's a reason why. It's as Mark and I are sitting up here one day. It's like we look down and Rob's cleaning up someone else's chalk dust, with a rag, and no one's asking you to do it. It's just who you are, and I guarantee you that plays into the quote fortunate timing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to take anything away from you, sir. But it is, I've actually gone through firefighting interviews and CPATs and stuff like that, kind of tested for Covington and Cincinnati, and I know it's just sometimes though it is it's super tough because
it really is.
It's just not. Sometimes they're just not hiring. Other times they might be looking for a different candidate.
Correct.
And but yeah, that's super awesome.
And and you speak to people and you go through and they say, well, people like, when you get into Cincinnati, Louisville, Columbus, that's when you get into like the big ball clubs. Like that's the National Football League or firefighting. That's the big time. And when they do their hiring process, their civil service tests, there could be 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people. And they're hiring 25 people. So and then
it's winning a lottery.
Yeah, at Cincinnati, I think they had over 1,000, and they were doing 30 spots.
It's nuts. Yeah. And then even with Florence, when I speak to some of the guys that've been there for about 10 years back in the day, they said, we had 300, 200, people taking the test, and they hired 10. So and you talk to them, and they said I didn't get a full-time job till I was 5 years in. So I was very fortunate to come through and get it. So I'm very grateful that happened to me, and then I just have to capitalize on that,
No doubt you will. I feel like that's a lot of government. I worked for the Hamilton County Park District for 5 years, and it's not a shot at anyone, but it was it was one of those things where and part of it was probably being young and thinking I deserve this, but it was 5 years of a part-time graphic specialist job where it was like I counted it up and it was like I took 10,000 photos this year. I did 167 projects. I'm cranking out a project more one every 2 days. Yeah. And it's just like let's say you feel a little bit slighted, but at the same time it's like you understand where they're coming from. They're a limited budget when it comes to a lot of the public services, but at the same time it's like those guys who are getting the part-time job, you're fortunate, but at the same time, it's like, well, I also feel like I should be bumped up a little bit. And then 5 years later, it takes just a lot of time for some people.
Yeah, time, hard work. You have to sell yourself.
Yeah.
You really do.
It's almost paying dues, I think,
Yeah.
some of it. Especially in, I feel like the firefighting world is such a close, almost fraternity of people.
It is.
It's especially those guys, tough situations, you're going out, it's almost becomes a brotherhood or sisterhood.
Yeah, they speak about that a lot, and I think that correlates here with the community. We do stuff at the firehouse. You do something and you don't ask for anything in return. You just kind of do it. You
It's like
just
family.
You help somebody out, and like you said, here, someone's laying on their back, can't breathe, just go over and pick up the weight, help them out, and you don't expect them to get up and say thank you. Just do it and just get it done. So I think that helps out a lot, and a good correlation between that.
And it builds the culture that we want. Sitting down with our small team all the time, it's like we talk a lot about the culture that we're trying to build, and that's huge, is trying to foster that sense of, hey guys, we're in this together. Everybody's doing the same thing, and I think that's probably something you have written down there about the correlation between firefighting and CrossFit.
Yeah, definitely.
What else do you have kind of in your mind that you see the through line?
Yeah, I just got a couple bulletins here. The number one killer for firefighters through the board, is cardiac disease or heart attacks. I think a lot of things, go into that. I think stress can go into it, a poor diet, obviously.
I've got friends that are firefighters, and I've seen the smorgasbord of like weekly whoever's cooking that night. It can be pretty intense.
Sometimes, and we try to with our station. Every station's different. Every crew's different. With my station at Station 1 in Florence, it was right on Weaver Road. We typically try to eat every time. We try to eat one meal in, something healthy, and then one meal we kind of go out and be seen in the community and eat out there. But here lately, they kind of give me a lot of, being in the firehouse with 6 guys every third day for 25 years. It's a different, once the doors are closed, it's a different atmosphere, I guess you would say. You kind of gotta go in the morning with our crew. I mean, it's good fun. We poke at each other, good healthy competition. But you gotta kind of go in. You gotta throw some jabs every now and then. Any little thing that they find, they will just pick at you and just rematch. And all they're doing is just a little poke here and there. Just trying to get you elevated.
You got that one string on your shirt, and they keep tugging until there's nothing.
Oh
left,
and it's good fun, but sometimes it's just like, oh my god. And here recently, it's been about. I recently got on board with Andy with nutrition.
Yeah.
And that's been a huge success for me. Got into that, but of course I'm getting better at meal prepping. So I go in and I have my breakfast, lunch, and dinner all set out. And those guys just go berserk on me. Every single morning I got all my coolers and
Hey, and then eventually Rob's response is just pulling his shirt up.
yeah. I always go, hey, which way is the refrigerator?
Can you guys count to 6?
Yeah.
So that's been the big kick right now, is them just laying. I mean, I come in at 7 a.m. and from 7 a.m. till 7:30 the next morning, it's just nonstop bombardment. So you kind of go through some haymakers out there about them, but
it happens. But again, that's part of that brotherhood. I'm sure you being the youngest of 3, I mean, you grew up with some of the hazing that goes along with being the little brother.
Correct, yeah, and it's to be expected. But I love it, I really do.
Same thing happens here. I mean, once all the doors, I mean, the stuff that is said between, our crew is not acceptable in the public.
Yeah, we definitely put on a different shade when like you guys public or customers or whatnot, and then once we go out in the public on a scene, it's quite different. And then when we get back, we can finally like, what were you doing? Blah blah blah. But
I think you have to have levity and high stress, atmospheres like that. Because if you guys were just all sitting around like, when's the next call gonna come?
Yeah.
Kind of like, your butt's tight kind of moments. You would be more prone to those diseases, from the stresses and stuff like that. So in the 4 years or however long it's been now for the firefighting, is there a story that kind of comes to mind that you might want to share? Whether it's a exciting fire or just like some fun around the house, or
You know, with exciting, every run for me is kind of exciting. We've had some good fires, which
It's weird to talk about it like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's some good fact. It's probably someone's property.
That's the
but
thing. It's
not
bittersweet.
It's
yeah.
terrible that we show up, and when we show up, it's people having the worst day of their life, basically. I mean, no matter if they just haven't been feeling well, they're actually having a heart attack, or a family member is deceased, or if all their belongings, everything they own, is engulfed in flames. I mean, it is the worst day of their life. We have to be professional, but on the other aspect, we train, all our lives for this, every day, and then we get to practice what we train. So it's good for us to go in and actually implement what we know and what we can do. But on the aspect, on the other side of it, someone is losing everything, and it's tough for them. But here recently, it's not a good thing. It's I've had a patient on our side of town it's an older lady. We went to her for just some simple things, not feeling well and whatnot, and she was always sharp. She was in her around 90s. She was always sharp. She was one of those ladies that you look at and be like, that's what I want to be like when I get older, And then we kept going to her, and she was still with it. And then about a month ago, we showed up on scene, and you can tell that she rapidly declined. And that's just kind of stuck with me for the last couple months. Just kind of in the back of the head,
Well, I'm sure it's almost especially if it's someone that you've seen multiple times.
Yeah, you get a good rapport with
Yeah.
her. She would, the whole way to the hospital, she would just have a normal conversation. How's your day? What you guys eat today? And it's like, man, you're like 90-some years old. You should be tired and going to sleep. And here she is. She's worried about me. And did you guys sleep the other night? I'm like, wow. And then you show up, and then she's a completely different person, and you can see the family's affected. And then somehow, it affects you. And it's just I think it's those little stressors that you have, very little for a short period of time that sticks with you, but over 25 years can add up to a whole lot of mental.
How do you take because there's obviously has to be a lot of empathy. You talk about being professional. You're encountering people who are having the worst day of their life. How do you basically show these people compassion and take care of them? Because you're one of the first people they see, while doing your job.
I mean, no matter if, I'm only 2 years into this career, but I mean, no matter if you're 15, 20 years and you're kind of burnt out, I mean, it's really just being compassionate. And just sometimes these people, if you just listen and talk to them, it makes them feel 20 times better. I mean, you go pick up people that don't have any family members left, their spouse is deceased, and they just kind of want someone to speak to. So sometimes in the back of the ambulance, you just put your tablet down and just talk to them, talk about their shows they watch, it's just stuff like that. What did they have yesterday for breakfast? And you can just see them when you actually care and listen and engage with them, that they light up in the 10 minutes that I have them. So if I can make them smile for 10 minutes and get to the hospital, maybe they'll forget about that pain or ailment they have. And, that makes me feel better, and hopefully makes them feel a little bit better.
Yeah, that's huge. That's one thing that for us is we talked about this place being a little sanctuary, and it's to outsiders it might seem silly or seem dumb, but we pride ourselves on making this hopefully the best hour of people's day. It's not always true. We personally have bad days. We try and leave it at home. Sometimes it doesn't happen. And for that we thank everyone for giving us grace, but at the same time we are trying to make this a place that's not just, you don't just come in, work out, and go home. You can, I don't care, again, it's you're the client. You can treat this however you want, but for those who want to make this something special, it can be, and that's what we try and do every day. And the same thing when you talk about just talking to people. It's a huge thing for us, where it's like, again, this won't air till later, but there's a 3-minute rest between these runs today, and it's like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? And it makes it that much more personal, and you just get to learn and start to care about other people's lives.
Again, I'll jump in real quick. The key word is listen, and it's, I think everyone, whether you're a member at a gym or just another run on a fire or ambulance, you don't want to just feel like a number. Like, all right, number 22, get in the back.
Right.
It's like, all right, Emily, get in the back.
Yeah, that is a person with a life.
Exactly. So it's, as strict as protocol can be, I'm sure, whenever you get on the scene, it's taking that, like, whatever it is, 5 seconds, 10, a minute to just actually acknowledge, like, you don't necessarily say, but I'm sorry for what is happening to you, but give me, I have to do this. And
yeah,
it's so important. I think that's just in life, and getting back to the full circle stuff with living life to the fullest is putting yourself out there, not being this hermit and not inviting the world in, so to say, into your life. And part of that is having friends, and part of having friends is, guess what, you got to listen to your friends.
Yeah.
It's not all about you every day.
That's right.
Facebook, I'm gonna
Me,
put
me,
all
me,
my
me.
problems on Facebook.
Yeah.
Like, so many times I'll see these negative posts, and it's just like, good Lord, like, did you just post that you're out of milk? It's like,
Yeah.
what?
I mean, when you think, when I was 18 to like 23, 24, I was a very angry individual, which I think helped shape me to who I am today. But the way I snapped out of that, is one day, it wasn't one day. It took a while, but every day I'd wake up and say, if I think I'm having it bad, someone out there in the world is having it much worse than you are.
Yep.
And that's really true. I mean,
Perspective.
Yeah, and that
huge.
perspective is probably shaped huge by where you are today, as far as being a firefighter. Same thing with us, where it's like we've heard in a personal, same thing. It's like, well, kind of one of those way back when was like, everything I do is perfect,
Yeah.
and if I'm having a bad day, it's the worst thing ever. And then you're like, wow, my life is fantastic.
Yeah.
And then you start to, and again, hopefully it was one of our goals too, for a lot of people, just trying to get people to see that. And that just, ramps up the empathy for everybody. If you treat everyone, we talk about it all the time, treat everyone as if their grandma just died today. You have to, because you don't know what people are going through.
You don't. You really don't. And we all put our pants on one leg at a time.
Yeah.
We're all humans. No one's better.
I tried twice once.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. One leg gets
Yeah.
caught.
I have this like pulley system for
Yeah.
the pants.
Yeah.
and-
We need to snap ones, the
Yeah,
quick ones.
right.
And just snap it.
But-
Pain in the ass to put on though,
Yeah.
to actually snap. I mean, once you undo it, then
Yeah.
it's like,
well, look, the cool factor is through the roof once you snap them all off.
Oh,
I mean,
man. That's
you're
just
just like, look at that
The worst
guy.
thing though is when you don't have shorts on underneath, and it's like, oh, now I'm embarrassed.
Yeah, again.
Yeah, it happens. This again.
we just took a hard left turn on
Yeah,
this podcast.
But yeah, I mean, I do have some bulletins about how I feel CrossFit, goes into the job of firefighting, so like I said earlier, heart attacks is the cardiovascular disease is the number one killer for firefighters. I mean, and when I think long term, when I want to enjoy retirement, and I look at the pluses of CrossFit, first thing the workouts are very intense. When you correlate that to fire or EMS, we go from sitting in the kitchen talking like we are now, the tones drop and we get a huge adrenaline rush and our heart rate just goes through the roof. And that's one
Huge
big
similarity.
yeah. So I mean, our heart rate can definitely exceed our max when we're working actually on not even a fire, a good EMS run, a terrible run. You're in there stressed out, your heart rate's jacked, you have a child with an injury, or someone you're trying to get out of a car, cutting them out before they bleed out or pass away in front of you. So I think that helps out a lot with that as far as keeping that heart healthy. CrossFit also, I mean, it pushes you physically, but like we were talking earlier, it pushes you mentally. So you come in, and today, you guys said it was running. People are going to walk in today and go, oh, crap.
Everybody but Judy.
Yeah, we got running. But if you look at that mentally and say, all right, I'm just going to tie my laces and go do it, I think that correlates with us a lot, saying, we got to get this training done, or we got to climb this 90-foot platform with all of our gear on. Let's just go do it, and you can do it. And once you're done, you can say you finished it, So that's huge for me. So,
What I don't want to take a huge turn, but still relating to firefighting. Just more out of curiosity for myself. Do you obviously Northern Cincinnati opiate problem? Do you
Yeah.
see that out here a whole lot?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's everywhere. It
Yeah.
really is, and it's
so sad.
it is. It's an epidemic. It's an addiction, just like any other addiction to chocolate or anything. I don't want to compare opiate to chocolate, but it's an addiction. It's a mental disease. I feel personally. I'm not a doctor or nothing like that,
Yeah.
but it is everywhere. It's more common than you guys think. I bet you people driving down the road right now are on heroin.
I saw one the other day.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
can tell.
we've had them. I don't want to get into HIPAA,
Sure.
stuff, but I'll just say that I've seen one, at a fabric store, or unfortunately, you've heard about one in a church's bathroom or gas station, or someone driving down the road. So it's everywhere. It's more common than people think, and it is an epidemic. And it's taxing not only on us, it's on police, it's on the nurses, the doctors, it's on the money side of the system. I mean, unfortunately, I don't know the price of it, but I think it's like $80-$90 for one vial, and now we're pushing, that's 2 milligrams. We can push 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and then no one gets that reimbursement.
Narcan.
Yeah, they're not
Yeah.
going to pay their medical bill, but I don't know how to fix it. I don't know. I don't know where we go from here, but some people are biased of saying, should we continue to give it? Should we not? But me personally, I think I have family affected by it, which doesn't influence my decision. But every one person that we bring back respirations or bring back life is, we give them a chance to try to get to recovery.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing we can do is try to help them out. And there's some people that
No matter what you do.
they're not going to, and there's some people that we go to more than once a day, and it's just
It's sad.
it's terrible. It really
It
is.
it is. Damn. It's one of those things that's my reaction whenever I hear something like that. Is damn. Like, how do we fix this? How do
Right.
we, how do we raise awareness? Like all these things, and it's just tough because it is a disease, and I've had family members battle addiction as well, and it hits home in a lot of different ways, and it's obviously a problem all over the world. It's not just in Florence, and I lived in Covington for 3 years, and I saw it firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it as much in Florence, just from it's a little more spread out than inner city. Like I was in it every day in
Right on
Covington.
top of it.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. That word perspective. It's if everyone could have a little more perspective on it, maybe they would tackle it a little more head on. Because if people are seeing it like the rate that you're seeing it,
Mm-hmm.
and bringing back people, because it's for every, I don't know the numbers, just throwing them out here, but for just if it was 1 in 10 person actually that was brought back, actually seeked help.
Correct.
And you never know. You never know what that could do for that person's life. So I commend you for doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's a tough situation.
Yeah. Me personally, if you can just give them a chance,
Yeah.
I mean, and some people have different views, but that's me. Is like you said, maybe that 1 in 10 person seeks help, and then maybe they get clean, get sober, and maybe that one person reaches out to another person.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's a snowball effect. Who knows? But
Yeah, the toughest thing I think is a lot for the families that it's really tough. And again, you talk about just the empathy side of things, where all those people are people.
Mm-hmm.
They're not things.
They have a mother and a father,
correct.
whether they're in relationship with them or not.
I think that's probably it's really easy to say stop resuscitating or stop helping when you just look at someone as a thing, but when you put a person and a life behind it,
They have a name.
They have a name,
Yeah.
And some people are dealt really, really rough hands, and
Correct.
that's their way of dealing with it.
Again, I mean, not to act like it's even in the same realm, but obviously we run a strength and conditioning CrossFit gym. That would be like if people are constantly coming in after, engaging in unhealthy activities. It's like, well, we can't accept you anymore. You keep eating pizza every day, or you keep doing this. And obviously, it's way. I'm not trying to draw.
There's parallels. It's not on the same level.
But we want to help fight disease. We want to eradicate that. In every member. I want to see everyone here thrive. I don't want to see people just go through the motions and only show up when they want to show up and only come on the days where they think they can be at the top of the leaderboard. Like, you're missing the point if you're doing it. Just like the people are kind of missing the point that are obviously doing drugs. It's a disease. It's different. They're not probably in control of every decision, they're making. But man, if they can change their life, you don't think you could come in on a day that you don't want to do the workout?
Right.
Like, come on, man. Like, it starts really with just making those tough decisions as far as in the CrossFit space of, I want to come in consistently, set my goals. I guarantee you, whenever the person that's ODing on drugs, whenever they look at their goals for the week, that's not one of them. You know what I mean? And it's just like, we can't, again, I'm not drawing correlations between this, but you have to have these goals in place in your life. And part of it is a fitness program that works and sticking to it and not just making an excuse at the first chance you get.
Absolutely. I know Mark had a question about passion.
Yeah, just kind of currently, obviously, you're a firefighter. You're doing CrossFit now, but just what is something that you're just kind of passionate about lately?
Full on passion about?
Yeah, man.
I always have a little bit of passion on everything. I do have my little old Jeep out there that I bring every once in a while that I eventually want to restore and kind of getting.
I love that Jeep.
On that. Yeah.
I love the parking brake.
Yeah, it's a little 2x4. Yeah. But really, the passionate here lately has really been work. I got to that stage where I'm about 2 years in. I'm still definitely the new guy. I still I know my place is to be quiet and don't speak and listen. But we're starting to get into stuff that's going to further me in my career. We started on the AO training, which is just driver training, which is huge. Is one reason I got into the fire service is it's a never you can be in a slump if you want to be, but it's a learning platform, I guess you would say, is that you can go as far as you want to in the fire service. If you just want to be the firefighter, paramedic, you can just stay there. If you want to advance and be a driver, a lieutenant, a captain, chief, you're out there and you can go get it if you want to.
You're almost your own small business in a personal sense.
True.
You can just be same thing with, we can just be here, or if we want to bust ass, we can be here.
Yeah.
And I think that just speaks to who you are, where like I'm passionate about accelerating my position in the firefighter realm.
Very true. So that's my big passion right now is getting that and reading and it's learning. I mean, if someone tells you they don't like learning, then it sucks to be you.
Right.
I mean, anytime you can
when you talk
learn.
about goals, I don't think that's one of my goals today is not to learn anything.
Right. Yeah.
It should be that obvious. Like, hey, look, this is just a normal. Every self-help whatever guru is always going to tell you, read more, and you'll learn more. Every doctor ever is going to say, hey, I'm unhealthy, fight off disease. What are they going to say? Clean up your nutrition and exercise.
True.
It's like, it's not rocket science. It is literally just implementing, we touched on earlier, these habits and putting them in place. So to be a driver, you're implementing new habits.
Correct. Yep. And I think it, not only benefits me, it benefits everyone around me.
Sure.
So that right now, I mean, I think your goals and what you're passionate about is going to change. I wouldn't say year to year, but as it goes along, I think further in my life, looking towards a family, I think that'll be when that comes around, I'll probably be more passionate about that and being a father or whatnot, and a good husband. But as far as right now, for the next couple of years, I think just getting a good base and knowledge for my career, for the long term, is what is huge to me right now. So
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Thanks for sharing.
There's one question we always like to end with, and just talking to you, I'm kind of excited what you're going to say. So just what is your definition of fitness? Because everyone's going to have something different in mind, and obviously just through talking to you, it's going to be pretty good.
oh man,
Don't screw this up.
yeah, I'm like,
Come on, Rob.
yeah, yeah, Honaker. I don't know. That's always a tough question. I do have notes, but I didn't even think about that one, so I kind of got to go off the top of my head.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. I think fitness is anything that you see that you're weak or not doing well at, and you attack it and you go at it. Being, fitness, people think it's gym or whatnot, but it can be anything in your personal life, anything in your career, anything that you think that you're doing a satisfactory job to, and you look at it and you go, I need to fix that. And you step up to the plate and you go at it and you do accomplish it and you get better at it. And for me, that's the definition of fitness for me in my life.
That's awesome.
So
That's
good.
fantastic.
Good
Awesome,
stuff.
Rob. Well, thank you all for listening to Everyday Athlete. Join us next week as we dive deep into the lives of the people who make us great. Thank you, sir.